welcome back. This is What If Deku with Shirou Emiya, the final part. So, I'm just going to tell you guys right now. We're going to go for as long, this video, I'm not sure how long it's going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be over an hour. And we're going to go until we wrap everything up. So, just so you know. And let's start with a recap. So where we last left off, Deku had just killed all the villains, and Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari got sent to the Quirk Doctor. And I'm going to say the Quirk Doctor's location is with Julian. And, Deku actually became more like Emiya Alter than he actually did Emiya. And Lorelei knows, and she's trying to talk to Deku, but he's not wanting to hear it. He's not wanting to hear anything anymore. And so he tells her, we got mages to have to deal with, so I'm gonna need something from my house. She's like, look, if we're up against the Einsburns here, they're going to be extremely dangerous. Especially if they have a way to override their servants' actual, personalities and install them into dolls, which we have to imagine they have 6 of. And Deku's like, but they don't have the 7th. Now, do they? And Lorelai's like, no, I have the 7th card. The card of the assassin. Whose power is in this card? We were never able to figure that out. And Deku says that he called it Hassan. And she's just like, well, that's better than nothing. I would have preferred a Lancer or Saber class card. And Deku's like, well, I do have this Archer card, but apparently it's a fake. But I still, should be able to use it. And he's like, but in the meantime, it looks like I've gained some new abilities. And she's like, yeah, I'd say being able to use a reality marble. And Deku said, no, not just that. He's like, look, Unlimited Blade Works? Yeah, I'm pretty sure I had that. But I have 2 Noble Phantasm level attacks now. Unlimited Blade Works and Unlimited Lost Works. I can still summon the blades, but I'm getting more attached to these guns. And she's just like, look, you're not even supposed to be able to have a gun out here. Stick to the swords. And Deku's like, no. I'm using the guns. You don't get it. If they can use displacement magic, I'm not going to get up close and, try to swing a sword at them, have them teleported away, and then I end up getting opened up and killed. Hell no. Especially if they have the Gilgamesh card. Because if they are able to have high-level spirits, it would make sense for them to pick the strongest spirit. It's obviously that he could be summoned, so it's not out of the question for them to have Gilgamesh's abilities. And that is what terrifies me. As someone who's killed Gilgamesh, trust me, he wasn't someone that I wanted to fight. He killed so many people. He killed Heracles, my sister Ilya, Lancer, and then was the reason why Archer, my future self, died. And Lorelai's like, are you sure that's still your future self? And Deku's just like, what do you mean? She's like, was his skin the same color as yours is now? And Deku looks down and he noticed his skin's gotten darker. He's like, no, it was actually a bit lighter. She's just like, that new power you awakened had to have done something. And she looks at his eyes and it says, like, your eyes are yellow. They were gray before, and now they're yellow. And Deku's like, yeah, I really have no idea what's going on. She's like, you're burning through your magic circuits even more now. I'm surprised you don't have that recoil from a servant's arm being attached to your body. He's like, it was my future self, and even its skin is darkened. And she's like, yeah, I wonder why. He's like, look, just come with me to my house. We'll get what I need. Because trust me, if I'm able to shoot them with these bullets, it's not gonna, just have them be bleeding. It will severely fuck them up. And really, she's just like, it's not like we got much of a choice now, is it? And Deku's like, glad you'd understand reason. And they head off. Meanwhile, Ida, on the other hand, is at the hospital with Sakura. And Aizawa just walks into the hospital again, and he sees Ida just in shock and just staring at a TV screen. Aizawa looks at the TV, and it's, Deku executing criminals, executing the League of Villains, and Aizawa said, look, I know he's your friend, but he's a murderer now. He's crossed a line. And if you're a student of UA, you can't have any contact with him anymore. You have to distance yourself from him, Ida. He's become a cold-hearted killer. He killed so many people like it was nothing. In the blink of an eye, they were dead. Ida's like, look, he's killed people before. And you didn't tell me to distance myself from him then. What's so different now? And as I was like, because now he's done it on live TV. He even dropped out of the school just so he could go there and get the information he needed. He's like, yeah. Well, he also saved All Might. He saved all of you guys from having to fight an army of Nomu. And that madman. So I don't really want to hear it. And that's all. I was just like, how do you know? All they showed was, them just disappearing. And then reappearing and they were all dead. And he says, trust me, I know what he did. They didn't just disappear and come back dead. They went to a reality marble. Hazel was like, a reality what now? And he's like, it's an alternate reality that only Deku can create and controls every aspect of. And I was always like, he can do that. And so I told him, yeah, and there's an infinite number of swords in there just at his beck and call. Along with the holy sword Excalibur, which he could have easily used and leveled the entire block. And so much more. So honestly, he went easy on them. All Might's not the strongest person anymore. It's Emiya. I was kind of shocked and mortified at that revelation. And he's just like, okay. And, Ida tells him, I'm going to Luvia's room. Just don't bother me anymore. I need time to process this. And, Ida's just thinking like, We know they have a Gilgamesh card. What else could they have meant by a blonde-haired woman using the same powers of Gilgamesh? It has to be his card that they're using. And you're just thinking, but how did they even know where we were? Honestly, how did all the people that started coming to Emiya's house know where we were? They didn't know whenever it was just him and Tosaka and Luvia living there. I know I didn't tell anybody. And then he says, Sakura. Sakura was the one who was the most suspicious. And Emiya even pulled a sword on her. So he barges into Luvia's room, and Sakura's sitting in a chair. She's all bandaged up. And Ida closes the door, and he picks up Sakura by the collar of her shirt and pins her against the wall, and he's demanding answers. He's like, why did you sell us out? And Sakura's like, what are you talking about? I wouldn't sell you guys out. And Ida tells him, bullshit. You sold us out. Luvia was just fine. Tosaka, we were just fine then too. Emiya was fine. No one knew where he lived. No one knew what he was doing. And nobody even minded. Until you showed up. You show up. Kirei Kotomine somehow finds out where he lives. You show up. Servants are suddenly appearing at his house. You show up. And his house gets destroyed. You're left relatively unscathed. Luvia gets put into a near-death scenario, and Tosaka gets kidnapped. And somehow they just say, oh, Mato hasn't strengthened you up enough to be the Grail yet? I'm sorry, but if you were going to be their Grail, they would have killed Tosaka and Luvia and have just taken you. And don't give me that shit about them just wanting to draw out Emiya. No. There's something else afoot here. You made a deal. Didn't you? You sold us out. And he's applying more pressure with every word. And Sakura, she's trying to deny it, but at the end of the day, she's just like, it was either me or Tosaka to become the Holy Grail. I don't want to be the Holy Grail, so I sold her out to become their Holy Grail. And Ida just slams her into the ground, and he's yelling. And Aizawa comes running in there. He's like, Ida, what in the fuck is going on here? Why are you assaulting her? And he's just like, she's the reason Luvia's in that condition right now. She's the reason Emiya broke his code and went berserk when Tosaka was taken. She is the reason he quit UA and joined the clock tower again. She's the reason why her own sister is kidnapped and in immortal danger right now. She sold us out. Sakura's just saying, I'm sorry. And Ida's wanting to kill her. Like, he's really just wanting to snap her neck and be done with it. Like, he grips her by the neck and is just strangling her. And Aizawa wraps his bandages around Ida and tells him, listen, you do this, it's not something you can just come back from. You'll be a criminal, Ida. I'll have to take you in. And Ida's just trying his best to get free, but Aizawa's wrapped him up pretty good. Sakura's on the ground, gasping for air. Ida is pissed. His glasses are broken. He does not give a fuck. And he's about to use Respiro Burst And Aizawa just erases his quirk. And Ida, he's just struggling to get free. And then a portal opens up, and out steps Julian. And he's like, "Oh, you must be Ida, Emiya's BFF. Well, let me tell you something. Yes, I put Sakura up to that, all to get at Tosaka. Really, it's all to piss off Emiya for interfering with our plans. You see, I was going to have 2 holy grails to enact my plan. 2 of them would have been great. And using Tosaka as easily a master that could have just been killed immediately wouldn't have really mattered. After all, I was just using her as a piece on the chessboard. Little did I know, Tosaka wasn't meant to just be a pawn. Oh no. She's grown to be the queen on the chessboard. An actual queen. Can you believe it? If Emiya's the king, Tosaka's his queen. And when you take the queen away, the king starts to lose all sense of control, all sense of reason. And that's when it's easiest to knock the king off the board and win the game. It's true that I'll have to restart the whole world with only 1 Holy Grail, which means I won't get to form it as much as I would like to. But it should still be enough. After all, the first wish would have been to reshape the world into my image, and the second would have been to erase all heroic spirits. But sadly, I won't be able to erase all the spirits yet. Quite the shame, actually. I was actually quite looking forward to that. Erasing all those spirits from their noble endeavors to have their wishes granted. The ultimate win. But no, I'll settle for reshaping this world. For now. And Sakura, sorry to say, but your sister's just not Holy Grail material. So sorry, but I'm gonna have you come with me, and Mato's gonna finish shaping you into a nice Holy Grail substitute. So, come with me. As he grabs Sakura by the hair and pulls her into the portal. But before he can close it, Ida's trying to jump in after him. So he opens up another portal. Ida goes right through it. And he opens it up like a little bit above the Emiya state and has Ida fall right into the rubble. And he tells Ida, "Tell Emiya a message for me. Tell him we'll be waiting at Mount Fuji. But it just won't be me and the 6 other, servants. No. It'll be the 6 servants, the Gilgamesh user, and, your old friends. Bakugo Katsuki, Kirishima, and Kaminari, along with someone you will know very well, the hero killer Stain. Once I told him I could remake a world where heroes were noble and just, he was more than willing to help me in any way, shape, or form. So I am very grateful, especially since you let him get away and chose to save that worthless hero's life. Very noble of you. I will save this world and be seen as the true hero of justice. After all, Emiya is nothing more than a faker. And he closes the portal. And he's getting up to his feet. Aizawa is just in the hospital room, dumbstruck by what he's just heard. He scrambles to get all the pro heroes ready to fight this war. And he goes to All Might. And All Might tells him, we can't interfere with that. Even if there are villains with quirks, we can't interfere. And I was always wanting to know why. And he says, United Nations rules. Pro heroes are not allowed to interfere in this, since they're sending in their specialist teams. And so I was just dumbstruck. He's just like, so we have to sit back and do nothing? And All Might's like, as frustrating as it is, yes, we can't lay a finger without causing an international incident at this point. And, so I asked him, who are they sending? And he's like, we don't know. We'll find out tomorrow during their conference. But for right now, we can't do anything. But we also have another problem. And so I was like, oh, God, what? He's like, well, in light of Izuku Emiya being removed from UA and brought back into the clock tower, there was an investigation done on him and Ida, and it seems Ida has been caught on camera doing vigilante work with Emiya. So we have no choice but to expel Ida from UA as well. His parents have been informed, and Ida can no longer become a pro hero. He is blacklisted from all hero schools in Japan. If he still wants to be a hero, he'd have to go overseas at this point. And I was always just like, I just stopped him from killing someone. And I may have just doomed the entire world when I did that. And All Might's just like, why? What happened? What did you do? And Aizawa explains everything to him that happened. And Aizawa's just like, I think I did the wrong thing by not letting Ida just kill her right then and there. And All Might tells him, you did what you thought was right. Let's just hope this doesn't cause the end of the world. And he walks off. And Aizawa, he walks off too. Back with Ida, he's just waiting for Emiya to show up, which Emiya does. And he looks at Ida and he's like, thought you were at the hospital. Ida's like, well, I was sent here by a man named Julian. Deku kind of flinches and he's like, what happened? Ida tells him everything, and Deku's just like, I knew it. I should have killed Sakura when I had the chance. I let my emotions be clouded by Rin's judgment. And at that point, Ida gets a phone call, and he knows it's from his mom, and he's just like, I gotta take this. And Deku tells him, go ahead. You're looking for something anyway. We'll talk after I find it and after you get off the phone. Ida's like, all right. So Ida's on the phone. He answers it. It's his mom, and she's crying, and Ida's like, what's wrong? Mom, are you okay? And she's just like, no. But when were you going to tell me you were doing vigilante work outside of school? Ida's just like, what do you mean? She's like, there's footage of you using your quirk in public, saving somebody from all this and fighting against somebody, along with that friend of yours, Emiya. And it's already been announced that Emiya is a member of the clock tower, which is covering him. But Ida, you just got expelled and blacklisted from all hero schools, and the police are wanting to know if you have ties to the clock tower as well, or if not, they're going to arrest you. And Ida's just like, don't worry, I have ties to the clock tower. So don't worry, I won't be going to jail, Mom. And Lorelli's overhearing this. She already knows what Ida's going to do. Ida hangs up the phone, and Lorelli's like, you're accepted into the clock tower, Ida. And Ida's just like, how? She's like, I'm the director of the clock tower. I can determine who's accepted and who's not. And besides, you show promise. Not only were you able to keep up with Emiya, but you fought against Gilgamesh and survived. We could use you in the clock tower. You have so much more potential than these pros could ever realize. So of course I'd welcome you. I just need you to sign this. And she pulls out her phone, and it has a dotted line. And Ida signs it. And he's a member of the clock tower, effective immediately. And she releases that information to the press and to the police stations, and that covers Ida. Ida won't be going to jail. And, Lorelli's like, well, now you'll also be able to help us track down those mages without any hindrance. And it's all completely legit. Welcome to the task force, Ida. Ida's like, what do you mean? And she's just like, I'll explain it once we get done here. And Deku's like, all right, found it. He walks out with a gun and a clip of bullets. There's 12 total. And she's just like, what's this? And Deku tells her, these bullets are anti-magic bullets. They can break through a spell, or if they enter a person's body, they completely incinerate their magic circuits, making it to where they can never use magic again. And there's no cure for it. And Lorelli's like, and that's how you're going to beat them. He's like, yep. But there is some bad news. She's like, what's the bad news? He's like, these 12 are the only ones left in all of existence. Kiritsugu was the only one who knew how to construct them, to my knowledge, and he's dead. And he didn't leave behind how to do it. She's like, great. And Deku tells her, look, I'm going to need 2 pistols that can hold 6 bullets each. It's like, can't you just create them? He's like, no, not for these. For these, I'm going to need real guns. Because my magic projectiles cannot, I repeat, cannot fire anti-magic bullets. It would be on the fritz and it'd be too dangerous to do. Anti-magic and magic don't mix. The anti in there makes it sure of it. And she's like, all right. And Deku is also, I'm going to need new clothes. She's like, your usual? He's like, no. get me a suit. Black pants, black jacket, gray shirt, black tie. I'm also going to need shoulder holsters for my guns. She's like, I gotcha. She's like, what caliber are the bullets? And Deku says 45. She's like, alright. Everything will be here within an hour. So, let's go to the hospital and see Luvia. And he's just like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, Luvia's getting in on this. Like, there is no way we can take him without Luvia's magic. And after all, Luvia is going to be the person who saves Rin. And Ida tells Deku, look, they said they were thinking about using Rin as a holy grail, but she wouldn't be compatible. That's why they took Sakura back. But it's still possible that they might twist Rin into fighting us. If that comes, would you be able to kill your beloved? And Deku looks at him and he's like, you're asking me to kill the only person that loves me. The only person that is keeping me going. If I have to kill her, I'm not making it back from this mission. And Ida looks at Deku. He says, look, I understand. But you're going to come back. And I'm going to do my best to make sure Rin comes back alive, too. I'm just saying, if worst case scenario happens, would you be able to? And Lorelli's with Ida, she's like, I need to know before I okay you for this mission. Would you be able to kill Rin Tosaka? The one person you love more than anything. Deku looks at them and he's like, you know, you guys are literally putting me through hell with this, right? And she says, I'm sorry, but this is what's going to have to happen. And Deku says, yeah, I'd be able to do it. But after that, I'd probably take my own life. And Lorelli says, well, as long as you're able to do it, the aftermath doesn't really matter, I guess. And Ada's just like, what are you talking about? He's saying that he would kill himself. And Lorelli's like, one man versus the trillions of people on this planet. Tell me which is more important. I know my feelings towards my student. I don't want him to die. I want him to be able to live happily, but that's just not in the cards, okay? We live in the real world. We have to make hard and harsh decisions. There's no other chance. What happens after the fight happens. There's not even a guarantee that any of us will be able to walk away alive or completely whole. Ida says, I understand. I'll do what's necessary, and so will Emiya. And Ida looks Emiya in the eyes and he says, look, if you die I'll die with you. We're brothers. I'm not letting you go alone. No matter what happens, we're in this together, man. Deku looks at Ida and he's like, I appreciate you more than you will ever know, man. And they have a bro hug and they start walking to the hospital. And, while they're on their way there, Ida's just like, alright, so how are we getting Luvia back on her feet? And she says, well, I'm going to have to use healing magic. Only reason why I didn't use it back then before is because she was still in surgery. I needed her to be out because I just can't heal a giant wound like that. Healing magic isn't my specialty. I would not have been able to save her. But now that she's healed, I should be able to. And he was like, all right, well, let's hope. And he says, I'm going to need something from you, though. And Lorelai's like, oh, God, what? Ida says, I need a suit. A normal suit, and I'm going to need a combat suit. And Lorelai's like, oh, yes, I kind of figured that. What design would you like for yours to be? Ida basically shows her his outfit already, and he's like, just make it red and black. And add some yellow to it. She's like, red, black, and yellow. And he's like, yeah, red, black, and yellow. And she's like, okay. Why those colors? And he's like, the black is, representing Emiya now. The red represents who he was and Tosaka. And the yellow, it represents Luvia, her blonde hair. And Lorelai's just like, okay, what do you want your normal suit to be? And he tells her, just get me a black shirt, a red tie, red pants, and red jacket, and I'll be good. And she's like, okay. And, she calls it in. They finally make it to the hospital. Lorelai heals Luvia. Luvia wakes up and, Emiya texts Ida the hotel's address and the room number, but he purposely misses one room number. He types in Ida's room, but he doesn't type in Luvia's. And he's like, you two share a room. He's trying to, because he knows Ida loves Luvia. And he's just trying to give him a little push. After all, Deku does see Ida as a brother. And Ida's risking his own life to rescue Tosaka, which is Deku's wife. Or almost wife. Because they were talking about it. But still. So Deku wants to make sure Ida finds somebody and has some sort of happiness with her before the suicide mission. And he tells Lurley, let's go back to the hotel. I gave him the number and the address. And she's just like, okay. because Lily needs to prep her statement for the press release tomorrow, and Deku needs to collect his thoughts. And he's going to go get a haircut. So it's just Luvia getting her clothes back on, and Ida's there. And Ida's breaking down crying. Like, as soon as they leave the room and he's alone with Luvia, he hugs her. And he just can't help but cry. And Luvia's like, "What's this all about?" And Ida tells her, "I was so scared that you died, or you would die. I just can't imagine losing you." And she sits down with Ida and she says, "Look, it's probably not going to work out with us. You're going to become a pro hero, and I'm with the clock tower, and I've seen the news. You're not going to be able to come with us, are you?" And Ida says, "Actually, I can never become a pro hero. I was blacklisted and expelled from every school. I'm part of the clock tower now. So we'll be together for a while." And Luvia says, "Oh." And he's like, "So you won't be able to shoot me down that easy." And Luvia smiles and she jumps on top of Ida and she's just like, "Silly, I wasn't trying to push you away. I was just going to make you aware of our situation. But now that we no longer have that bar being held against us," she tells Ida that she wants him. And Ida looks her in the eyes and says, "You can have all of me." And Luvia's whole face turns red and she's just like, "That was rather a quick decision." And Ida's like, "I've been thinking about it for a while. Seeing you in the hospital was all it took to convince me that it would have been the right choice." And, they finally get out of the hospital, and on their way to the hotel, it's actually starting to rain. So he picks up Luvia and he runs all the way to the hotel. He gets there really fast, so they're not too wet, but they head to the elevator. They head up to the third floor to room 311. Ida has the key. He walks in and he sees only one bed, and he's like, "I thought they said we were supposed to share a room." And Luvia's just like, "Well, we're a couple now, so I don't see why we couldn't share the bed." Ida's just like, "Well, if you're alright with it, that's fine." And, Ida says that he's going to take a shower. And Luvia, she decides that she's going to show Ida what she wants tonight. And she starts making arrangements, Ida, he's in the shower. Luvia's dimming the lights. She unfolds the bed a bit. Takes off most of her clothes. Well, she takes off pretty much all of her clothes except her panties. And she lays on the bed, waiting for Ida. And while that's going on, Emiya is, Deku's in his room and he's just like thinking. He's pretty much dressed in his suit. He's checking out the new guns that he got, loading them, unloading them, taking them apart, putting them back together. He's messing around with his own magic, knowing that he's got some new skills, so he might as well course, admiring his new haircut. He got a real close type of haircut, similar to the one you're seeing on the screen right now. And, you know, he's just like, yeah. He looks at himself in the mirror. And he can't help but see something. He sees what he's become. But he sees it turning his back on what he was. He sees himself, but he also sees Archer. And he notices the difference. So he decides to fully embrace that difference. He changes his colors from red to gold and black. He tears off the shirt part of his outfit. He cuts open a sleeve and puts metal cuffs on his arms. He's, and he's changing the designs on the clothing as well, adding in new gold patterns. And then he makes his guns. He sees what the blades have turned into. But then he thinks, he feels like he could create something else. And he tries it, and he does. He creates a staff but on the ends are Byakko and Kansho. And he's like, looks like I still have a way of doing close range combat. And so he's practicing in there, using it, and he's actually pretty satisfied with it. And so, he ends up going to bed early. Meanwhile, Ida is just getting out of the shower. And he notices there isn't a towel. So he asks Luvia if she's seen his towel. And Luvia says, why don't you come out here and find out? So Ida's, he's walking out soaking wet. And he sees Luvia on the bed, just about completely naked, holding his towel. And he just asks, what are you doing? And Luvia says, well, judging from your reaction, I'd say you like what you see. She gets off the bed, and she walks over to Ida, and Ida, he's just like, what? Luvia just kisses him. And Ida, he's startled for a minute, but he knows what he wants. And he can tell that she's wanting the same thing. So Ida ends up kissing Luvia and embracing her. He picks her up and he takes her over to the bed. And, he lays her down there. He starts sucking on her tits, rubbing her body. And Luvia's putting her hands through Ida's hair, holding his head down to her chest. And, Ida comes up for a minute, and Luvia is just staring at his eyes. She pushes Ida back and flips him around to set him on the bed. She gets down on her knees, and she starts sucking Ida's dick. And that goes on for a little bit, till Ida pulls his dick out of her mouth, raises her up, kisses her, throws her on the bed, and basically just rips her panties clean off of her. Olivia says, oh, so you are taking charge. And Ida's like, you're damn right I am. Ida raises Luvia's waist off of the bed, pulls her towards him, puts his dick in her, and starts fucking the shit out of Luvia. And that goes on for a long time. And, after they finish, Ida's laying there. Luvia's laying on top of him. He asks her if she's scared about the mission. Luvia says, no, I'm not. Because I know I have you watching my back. And he's like, yeah, I think we'll be alright. And Luvia's like, I know we'll be alright. And, he says, so, just the four of us against an army. And she's like, well, it's true I don't like the odds, but what else can we do? And, you're just like, you're right. And that's when Ida gets a phone call. And Luvia says, looks like your brother's trying to call you. Ida picks up the phone. He's like, oh, hey. And Ida's brother's just like, hey, I heard you joined the clock tower. And he was like, yeah. It's not like I had much of a choice. And his brother says, there's always a choice. It tells him, I made the right one by joining the clock tower. It puts me closer to someone I care about deeply, and it allows me to have my best friends back. And there's something I need to tell you, big brother. I'm going to be a part of the mission that takes down the so-called terrorists that you've been hearing about. The remain of the League of Villains. The mages. We're going to be fighting against them. And I'm going to be part of it. And his brother is freaking out. He's just like, Ida, don't be stupid. That's a suicide mission. And Ida tells him, look, I've already fought people like them before. And I'm still alive. It's because I covered Emiya's back and Emiya covered mine. We make a good team. But this time it just won't be me and him. We'll have more people with us. And his brother's just like, Tenya, please, don't do this. And Ida tells him, I know you want to save my life, but let me ask you something. What is the value of one life versus trillions of lives all over the world? You can't just sacrifice trillions of people for one person. His brother hears that. He's like, damn it. You would have made a great hero. And Ida tells him, I already am one. Just because I can't be a professional hero doesn't mean that I'm not already a hero myself. I serve justice, not myself. I will become a hero of justice that this world needs. Goodbye, brother. Tell Mom and Dad I love them. If anything happens, Just know I love you guys. And everything I did for what I thought was the right thing. Goodbye. And he hangs up. And Livia asks, are you okay? Ada's just like, yeah, I'm fine. That was just hard as all. She says, it always will be. Let's get some sleep. And he does. Morning comes. Emiya's just waking up. And Deku, he's just like, first the press conference, and then we go to battle. He gets up. He puts his clothes on. He heads towards the lobby. He gets there. He sees Ida and Livia and Lorelli. He walks over towards them. He's like, all right, let's get this shitty press conference done and over with. Lorelli's like, with that, there is no doubt. He pulls his jacket up towards his arm, and he walks out. And they're at the press conference, and along with them is, All Might is in the crowd. Aizawa's there. Pretty much all the high-ranking and, UA teachers and heroes are there. But that's not it. Class 1A is there as well. And they're all waiting to see what's going to happen. And that's when Lorelli steps up to the podium. And she says, I welcome you all here. And with this, it's time to let you guys have the answers to the questions that you guys have been wanting. Truth is this. We are going to attack a terrorist organization known as the League of Villains that these pro-heroes in Japan have been letting run rampant and create dismay for way too long. They were the same group that attacked the USJ incident a long time ago. And with that, we cannot allow them, and to know that they have mages in their ranks as well is something that is unforgivable. We will not allow them to complete their plan, which we are now aware of. Their plan is to destroy the entire world's civilizations, killing billions, if not trillions, of people in its wake. But do not fear, for we have a team of highly trained and elite soldiers. And she says, on this team are 3 incredibly talented and well-trained individuals who have fought these forces already and wiped out a whole unit of them. Of one, I'm pretty sure you know the name. Izuku Emiya, aka Archer. And Deku steps up. And he steps up to the podium, and he addresses the crowd. And he says, I have been chosen to handle this mission. It's with this mission that I must do everything I can. There is no length I will not go to bring these animals to justice, to end their reign of terror, and to stop them from murdering trillions of you. We know their location, and we will be heading there immediately after this press conference. We only hold this press conference to let you guys know that there's nothing to fear, and that we will handle this with extreme prejudice and will not allow a single one of them to escape. What you saw me do on the news last night was a show of my resolve. By killing them, I saved so many innocent lives that day. I do not regret my actions, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. The hero system in this country is flawed. The hero system in general is a mockery. It's laughable. By allowing these criminals that cannot be reformed and who are showing increasingly deadly intent, you are allowing them to predetermine who they will kill and signing those death warrants themselves. This isn't that. Common thugs, sure, I understand locking them up. But when you talk about supervillains who could level an entire town, an entire city, and plan to destroy an entire nation, or plan to kill trillions of people, you don't lock them up. What? So they can get out and do it again? No. You put them down. You make sure they're incapable of hurting anyone else, and you save those lives by killing them. In the past, I allied myself with the deterrent force. But through the training and battles I've waged, I have become the deterrent force. You see, all of these heroes, all they do are fight for ideals. That's great and all. But when you fight for ideals, the only thing you can ever save are ideals. You can't save people. And all of the heroes out there are hearing his words and are just like, what in the fuck? He's tearing us to shreds. And they're starting to have uproar from the heroes and the crowns. But All Might, he knows that Deku's right. He speaks up and he's like, he's right. He is correct. We've been too lenient on criminals, on these supervillains. All we've been doing is fighting for glory, fame, and a reputation instead of trying to make the world safer. And we've become complacent in it. He's doing the hard part. He is becoming a true hero. He's doing what we won't. He's taking them out. Deku says, glad at least one of you can admit that. He's like, there's also 2 more people on this team. An accomplice of mine from my time at the clock tower whenever I was a kid. Miss Luvia. She's a noble woman that comes from a noble family of mages. She is incredibly strong and is set up to be the next director of the clock tower. And then someone who idealized, who became a true hero of justice. A man who would willingly put aside his own life for the greater good, who had no qualms about helping me defeat and kill a dangerous enemy in the past, who saved people's lives from a catastrophe that would have destroyed so many more. I give you Tenya Ida, my best friend and my partner. And Ida comes out, and that's when everyone in Class 1A is shocked. Like, they're shook. 2 of their former classmates have joined the clock tower and are going on a suicide mission. And they all see that, and they remember Ida's words from back then, whenever Bakugo tried to kill Deku over not giving him answers, saying that they didn't know what it meant being a true hero, and they had no room to be in that school. But then Ida, of all people, got expelled and then accepted into the clock tower, and is willing to risk his life for everything. And he just steps up to the podium and he's like, I may be new to this. I have fought forces that some cannot believe. I fought people stronger than All Might. And I survived. On the news last night, you saw Emiya taking care of business. And you thought it a one-sided slaughter. I assure you, you have had no idea the battles we've fought, the people we've lost, the lives we've had to balance in our hand, the family that was lost along the way, and the betrayals we've had from within. And still we are here to fight. We will fight for you. We will fight to protect you, even if it costs us our lives through our last breath and beyond. We will fight. We will rise from the ashes of our grave if we are struck down and fight again until you are all safe, until the world is peaceful. We will fight over and over and over again. I assure you, this fight is far from over. But today it ends. And we will win. Even if we have to sacrifice everything. If it means we have to sacrifice our humanity, our morality, it's not too great of a cost to save the people on this world. The innocents, the people who have grown old, the bad people serving their time in prison, trying to reform. We will save them, and we will save you as well. So don't worry. After today, you guys will be able to live in peace, knowing that there is not anything out there that will stop us. That is all. Corelli steps back up to the podium and she says, well, my team and I have said it all. The 4 of us will be going into battle. And when it is over, I might not know how many of us will remain standing. But I can assure you, we will not fail. And All Might speaks up again. He's like, just the 4 of you? Alrigh's like, yeah, just the 4 of us. And All Might insists, take some pros with you. You pick them, and they'll go into battle. Literally said, look, that's just not enough. You guys are not up to the caliber of what we're about to fight. And he's like, if we die, we die. Any hero that is not prepared to risk his life should leave now. Otherwise, we'll be marching straight into the heart of the enemies, and we shall battle alongside these 4 brave souls. The true symbol of peace is those who would dirty their hands so that the world doesn't have to. So people can grow up happy, healthy, and they wouldn't even know how much the people sacrifice for them. So if you're not worthy enough or willing to lay down your life, then leave. But don't you ever call yourself a hero again. Hawks is like, he basically says that he's willing to go. All Might volunteers as well. And surprisingly enough, so does Endeavor. And they realize the top 3 heroes are willing to risk their lives. Aizawa volunteers as well. And Deku looks at them. He says, don't blame us if you don't come back alive. And they say, of course not. Gran Torino volunteers as well. Night Eye is about to, but All Might looks back at Night Eye and tells him, no. You need to stay here and look after my successor. I don't have much time left with my quirk. Gran Torino's getting old in years too. If the 2 of us die, that's fine. But you need to be able to nurture Mirio, my successor. So please, stay here and look after him. Night Eye agrees. So those 6 heroes join, and the counterforce against Julian is Lorelli, Luvia, Ida, Deku, All Might, Endeavor, Hawks, Aizawa, and Gran Torino. The fighting ground is Mount Fuji. And the time is getting ever closer. So, everyone's changing into their combat uniforms. Deku, he pretty much changes into his black and gold outfit. He's not wearing a shirt this time, though. Just the sleeves. It pretty much covers just his arms and the sides of his chest. He's wearing his, suit slacks and pretty much a leg cover around his waist. He still has his guns on him. And he walks out ready, meeting Endeavor and All Might and all the other heroes. Pretty much, they've already been dressed. And they see Deku in his attire, and they're like, well, what, too good to wear a shirt? And Deku's just like, no, just didn't feel like it. And Endeavor's scoffing at the kid, and he's just like, look, you're probably going to be the first one out of us today. And Deku's just like, no, actually, I think the first one of us out that would die would be you. And Endeavor's just like, how do you figure? And Deku says, you're too full of yourself. You're going to get careless, and that's going to get you killed. But hey, not my place to babysit you once we're on the battlefield. And I don't expect you to babysit me either. I'm not expecting to survive this. If I do, that's great. If not, who cares? I just have one goal. To save my woman. That's it. And Ida comes out dressed in his new attire. And Lorelei made an adjustment. Instead of the yellow, she put a nice shade of blue in there to kind of match, Luvia's outfit. And she didn't add the red. She just went with a blue and black outfit for Ida. And Ida's, he's walking up and Deku says, that's actually a better look than what you had. And on top of that, you don't look like a clown with all those colors. And Ida's like, yeah, Lorelei really saved my ass on this one. Luvia comes out, Lorelai's out as well. They're like, alright, let's go. And I'm going to say they use a teleportation spell. And they're right there. And when they get there, they're on the castle grounds. And, Deku looks all the way at the top and he's like, there, that's where we need to get. But before he can even say that, he senses 6 presents. And he's like, well, looks like we're not doing this one by one. They want us dead, and they want us dead now. And he can see them marching on them. And Endeavor's just like, what in the fuck is that? And Deku tells them, history's greatest warriors. And he's just like, what? And he sees them. Caster. Saber. Rider. Lancer. And Berserker. He's like, wow. Looks like they got 2 Berserkers. That means Archer's up there guarding the master. And the second Berserker is actually that red-haired girl. And Deku's just like, great. Gotta fight someone with the strength of Heracles and Thor. And he's looking straight at Saber. And he can tell they used Artoria. He's like, look, Saber's mine. And Ida's just like, are you sure? Deku tells him, yeah, I'm sure. He summons his guns. He puts one gun up towards his head, as if he's saying a prayer. And then he lowers them. And he's like, alright, everybody. If you can't do it in a one-on-one, back up someone else. I'm not going to need backup to take out Saber. But seriously, don't hold back on these guys, or you're going to die. Anyone fighting a Berserker should fight them 2-on-1. If not more. These guys are deadly. They're extremely well trained, and they've killed armies. So don't fall behind or you're gonna get killed. Oh, and you can't erase their powers. So let's go. And they're marching on the group, and Deku just starts running towards Saber, shooting his guns. Saber's kind of dodging, but does get clipped by a few bullets. And he's getting up close, slashing with the sword part of his guns and shooting with the other one. Saber is blocking it and trying to counterattack, but is mainly just kept on the defensive by Deku's new fighting style. He's shooting his guns off as fast as possible, along with slashing with the other one. He'll shoot one down low and slash up high. And Saber's having to choose which one would be, better to block. So Saber's taking a lot of shots down low, but eventually gets a solid kick in Deku's gut, sending him flying back. He's like, damn, forgot how strong that card is. But that's when Deku realizes, why am I fighting this? That's just me, whenever I could use this card. And he looks at Lorelei, and Lorelai's realizing she has a card too. So simultaneously, they say, Archer, Assassin, insert card. And Deku flashes into a more titled version of Emiya, but it's an alternate. And he's just like, Emiya Alter works for me. And he's able to use the Alter version of his powers more, in tune, but he still does have access to normal Emiya's powers and abilities as well, meaning he also has access to unlimited blade works. But he knows who he has to save that for. So he's going off and he's deciding, all right, I'm going to have to use it. Because he sees that, Aizawa's about to get skewered by Lancer. So Deku spins around, blocking Saber's sword strike with his gun, and then shooting unlimited lost works into Lancer. And he says, I am the bone of my sword. Unlimited lost works. And swords just shoot out all throughout Lancer's body. And, Aizawa was kind of freaked out, but thankful at the same time. He thanks Deku, and Deku tells him, don't fall behind. Use what powers you got to back someone else up. You're not going to be able to take these guys on. And Aizawa's like, you're right. And All Might, he's actually getting the better of one. In the battle between him and, Berserker Heracles, he's getting some good hits on Heracles, but Endeavor's having to help him out a lot. By burning his back while All Might hits him with everything he's got, All Might realizes his time's running out. And All Might yells towards Gran Torino saying, I'm not going to make it out of this fight. This is going to be my last fight here. And Gran Torino's just like, I won't let you go alone. Emiya hears that, and he remembers Ida telling him the same thing. He says, if you guys got the time to talk, you got time to fight. Kill it before it kills you. If you're so sure this is going to be your last fight, then go out swinging. Don't become a sacrificial pawn for nothing. All Might hears that and he's just like, very well. And he's using all his power that he can. And he's pretty much beaten Heracles to the point of no return. And he gets ready for that last hit. The full United States of Smash. He gets it off on Heracles, alright, and he sends Heracles flying. But as soon as he does, All Might is hit with Thor's hammer, killing him on impact. Because after he was used United States of Smash, he reverted immediately back to Small Might form and was hit with Thor's hammer with full force. And that kills him. Endeavor looks and he's just like, our first death. He sees the man he's strived to beat his entire life killed with the swing of a hammer. Gran Torino sees that and he's pissed. He goes all out against that little girl, and he does get a lot of good hits in, but it's not enough. And Gran Torino, he gets killed by a thunder strike. The pro heroes are outclassed, plain and simple. And Heracles does eventually make his way back because Noble Phantasm and all, you have to kill him a lot. And meanwhile, Lorelei just finished off Castor and his working on Ryder. And Deku realizes that with Luvia and Ida, playing tag with the other Berserker now, Endeavor's having to fight the other ones. He needs to finish off Saber. So as soon as he blocks Saber's next swing, shoots Saber straight in the face, killing him. And drops the body to the floor. And he uses unlimited Lost Works again on Heracles. Over and over and over. And kills Heracles. And he's pretty much had enough, so he chooses to run towards the girl using Thor's power, dodges the hammer, and as soon as he does, he pulls out his special gun, shoots her straight in the head with the anti-magic bullet, and the card is immediately forced out of her body, and she screams bloody murder. And pretty much Aizawa, Endeavor, and Hawks, the only three heroes that actually survived. All Might and Gran Torino were killed. The rest of the servants are dead. And so, including Deku's card, they have all 7. They have all 7 of the cards. Which means that if they use them correctly, they have the upper hand. And Deku pulls out his card and he's like, this card has the spirit of heroic spirit Emiya. You can use it. He tells Lorelei to get Luvia and run. to go and try to use the wish to end this. Meanwhile, he tells Ida, Hawks, Aizawa, and Endeavor they gotta keep going. It's time to end this. And they make it, halfway up the tower before running into Bakugo, Kirishima, Kaminari, and Stain. And Bakugo sees Deku and he's just like, it's on sight. Deku doesn't have time to play. He pulls a gun on Bakugo, and Bakugo's actually kind of surprised. But now's the time to explain the new power-ups that Bakugo, Kirishima, and Kaminari got. What Kirishima and Kaminari got were strengthened quirks, which means Julian used his time manipulation on the doctor's procedures to increase their quirks' effectiveness and awaken them to their full potential super quick. Bakugo got that done on his quirk, but he also inherited all for one as well, since he was the most, suitable subject and everyone else was dead. And so the deal is that, all for one, he's taken control of Bakugo's body through the vestige world. And he's looking for All Might, and he's just like, what? All Might choose not to come? And Endeavor yells, All Might's dead. And they're all shocked to hear that. Stain is really shocked. And he asks, what do you mean by All Might's dead? And Deku tells them, your welcoming party killed him when he lost all the rest of his power. All for One is just laughing. He's just like, oh, this is great. That means there's no one else here that can possibly stop me. But then he recognizes Deku. And he's just like, you again. And Deku tells him, I don't have time to play with you anymore. And he shoots him straight in the head. He shoots Bakugo without a second of hesitation. And Ida, he realizes that he's going to have to kill his old classmates. So he runs straight for Kaminari. And without even a second of hesitation, he does a spinning kick to Kaminari's head. And it snaps his neck. And Kaminari drops to the floor dead. Kirishima, he's just in shock. Both Deku and Ida just killed their old classmates like it was nothing. And Kirishima goes into his unbreakable mode, which I'm going to say he's perfected. Endeavor's trying to burn him, but it's just not affecting him. He hits fucking Endeavor, and he hits him hard. Hawks is trying to use his feathers to slash him, but it's just not doing anything. And let's say Kirishima, he rips Hawk's wings straight out of his back. And he takes Hawks and he snaps Hawk's neck. So Hawks is dead. And Aizawa, he's trying to fight, but Stain's not making it easy for him. And at this point, Ida, he rushes towards Stain, grabs him, and throws Stain against a wall. And he tells Aizawa to erase Kirishima's quirk. Aizawa erases Kirishima's quirk, and Endeavor burns Kirishima to ash. All that's left is Stain, and Ida doesn't miss a second. He takes Stain's knife and slashes Stain's throat with it, saying that's payback for what he did to his brother, and that he never forgot, and that he always planned to kill him. And Stain bleeds to death. And they head their way up to the final trial. And that's when Lorelli gets a hold of Deku on comms, and she says, "Your Archer card isn't working. We need the original. We need the Gilgamesh card." And Deku tells her, "You're about to have it. Just got to the final boss themselves." And Lorelli's like, "Good luck. Try not to get killed." And Deku's just like, "Yeah, I'm sending backup your way. They're gonna keep you and Livia safe. So, be prepared, just in case things go sideways. Don't need to have as many people up here for my battle with her." She asks, "Who are you sending back?" He says, "I'm sending you Ida and Aizawa. Aizawa's pretty much useless from here on out, so getting him out of here so he doesn't die is the best choice. Endeavor I can still use. But Ida, he's not powerful enough for this, and it's in too cramped of a space for him to be useful. There's no place for him to hide and do hit-and-run tactics, so getting him out of here is a must." Ida's just like, "You can't be serious." He's like, "I am serious. Get out of here." And that's when he hears a voice, and she's just like, "Oh no, 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 no. No one's running from me." Ida looks up, and he sees Sakura in a pure black outfit with red, and she has solid white hair and red eyes. And she's like, "This is what it looks like to be a perfected Holy Grail." And Deku asks, "What happened to Tosaka?" And she says, "Oh, well, right about now, Julian should be having his way with her right now." Deku hears that, he loses it. He rushes, and Angelica tries to use the Gilgamesh powers, but Deku ain't having it. He shoots Angelica dead with the anti-magic bullet before she can even get a shot off. He kicks Sakura straight in the face so hard he breaks through the stairs with his foot through her face. Sakura's not dead, mind you, though. But he says, "Endeavor, I'm leaving that one to you. I'm gonna go kill this bastard Julian." And he walks in, and he sees Julian just beating the shit out of Rin. And Rin sees Deku, and Deku's just pissed. And Deku shoots Julian right in the leg, through the knee. And Julian's just in pain, immense pain at this point. And he's trying to use his magic, but he can't. He feels it inside. His body's burning like it's nothing. And Tosaka is actually scared of Deku at this point. She's just like, what did you do? He sees her in chains, smacked around, bruised, and he asks, what did he do to you? And she says, he beat me. He tortured me. What else? And she said, he raped me. And Deku's just losing his mind. He shoots Julian again in the other knee. He's like, everything you've done to her, I will do to you. And he's like, don't worry. I didn't actually use my own body to rape her. Just some toys I found along the way to make her, more compliant. And he's like, and that's supposed to make me feel better? You still touched her. You beat her. You chained her up like an animal. You're going to pay dearly for that. And has Deku, how many times have you used that noble phantasm of yours? And Deku tells him, I should be able to use it one more time before the recoil kicks in. And he points his gun straight at Julian. And he's like, why don't you take a good look at it? It's called Unlimited Lost Works. And he shoots Julian with it, and it goes off. But as it goes off, Deku finally feels the recoil of his actions. Swords start spewing out of his shoulder, his forearm, some out of his leg. And basically, he's looking a lot like he does in that picture right now. He doesn't care, though. To him, that pain is nothing. And he unloads it again and again and again. And there's nothing left of Julian at that point. And Deku has swords spewing out of his arm and leg. And he cuts the chain off Tosaka. She hugs him, kisses him. She's like, are you okay? Does it hurt? And Deku says, no, it doesn't hurt. And she's like, what happened to you? Your skin, it's burnt even more. And these colors, what happened? And he tells her, I crossed that line. I threw away the idea of being a hero of justice to save you. And she embraces him once more. And just at that moment, there goes Endeavor flying through the ceiling, several holes in his stomach, dead. And Ida gets thrown up there with him. The engines in his leg completely ripped out. Ida cannot even stand anymore. But he is still very much alive. He tells Tosaka to go heal Ida if she can, and then to get out of here. He's going to end Sakura here and now. She says, you're in no condition to fight. And he says, oh well. I'll manage somehow. But if I don't come back, just know that I love you. And Tosaka's like, promise you're coming back. Deku doesn't say a word. And Ida knows. He's like, I hope you're able to use enough magic to survive a fall. And she's like, what do you mean? Ida grabs her and rolls through the hole in the floor, falling. And he radios in to Luvia and Laurelian. They use magic to slow him down with Tosaka and bring them down slowly. And Ida presents Gilgamesh's card. And Deku is fighting Sakura with everything he's got. Shot after shot, another sword spikes through him. And it's just a never-ending battle. Every damage he does to Sakura, she heals from. Even the anti-magic bullets aren't having any effect. So he stops using his guns, and he starts using his double-edged lance sword, and fights with everything he's got with that. Throwing it, using the swords that's protruding out of his body as a weapon itself, and slamming that into Sakura and ripping out her flesh. But it's just not enough. She keeps healing from it. And back with Lorelli, they hear a voice, because the cards, since the Gilgamesh card is reunited, they all start spinning and spinning and spinning. And they hear a voice, and Tosaka realizes that voice. And she says, all you need is to bring the Grail to me, and I will handle the rest. And they radio in to Deku, kick Sakura down here with us, and it will end it. And Deku does just that. He tackles Sakura, stabbing through her, and using the momentum of his weapon to push them all the way down to the ground, into the circle of the spinning cards. And for Deku's eyes, there's this big flash of white light. And when Deku comes to, he feels a hug on him, being embraced by his sister Ilya. He asks her, with tears running down his eyes, if he's dead. She tells him, no, you're not dead. You're not dead. I am going to use Sakura as the Holy Grail, since I was originally supposed to be the Holy Grail. I can use its power in any of its descendants. So, I'm going to make one wish with it, giving you back your original body. It'll take away some of the burn, but not completely. You'll look like you did. You'll look like Archer, the original one. However, you'll still have all your powers and abilities that you built yourself. But Archer's going to have his arm back, and you're going to get a new one. No weapons protruding from it. Nothing like that. Sakura will die here with me, but you'll survive. So do me a favor this time. Live your life for you and Tosaka. Live your life and enjoy it. That's all. Honor those who lost their lives today, and try your very best to become the hero I know you are, little brother. And it fades back. And when Deku opens his eyes, all he sees is Tosaka, Ida, Luvia, and Lorelli, and Aizawa. And they realize Deku's body's changed. Yet again. No surprise there. And once he gets up, they head home. And Aizawa reports back to the pro hero, telling them that who they lost and what happened. And that's it. It's over. As for what happens with Deku and Rin, they keep on dating. Deku finishes high school with the entirety of the clock tower. And him and Rin are ever growing closer. Ida and Luvia, they are the same way. Finish high school in the clock tower. As for the overhaul arc, yeah. The state of the world started really cracking down more and more. And without a league of villains to really help supply anything towards Chisaki's goals, it never really comes to fruition. He gets found out sooner or later by Mirio, who's pretty much at this point backed up with Emiya and Ida. And Chisaki is killed. No cap. Eri is rescued and Mirio takes her in. Time goes on. Nothing else really happens. Mirio becomes the number one hero. Deku and Rin end up getting married. Ida, even though his engines were ripped out and it's presumed his quirk is gone, he does get healed up and he does get more mass placed into his legs where the engines were, and he gets magic circuits implanted, and he chooses to use acceleration magic to its fullest. So that's his magic magecraft of expertise now. So yeah, Ida becomes a mage, marries Luvia, and Luvia becomes the next director of the clock tower. And that's pretty much it. That's how everything wraps up. Aizawa becomes the, new head teacher at UA. And that's that. There's a ceremony held for everyone who lost. Deku's house gets rebuilt. And in between missions for the clock tower and saving everyone, he's at home with Rin and his child. So that's the end of that. Everything gets wrapped up. Everything is nicely dealt with. So thank you guys for watching this series. Thank you for all the love and support you've shown this series. It really means a lot to me. And have a happy Thanksgiving, since it is that time already. Didn't even notice it. And thank you guys again. I'll catch you guys real soon.